The Fueled by Death guest.
Question I want to start with. I want to go all the way back. I want to go into your past because it is widely known that you play a little instrument called the guitar, but I really want to know what actually made you pick up the guitar to begin with. What were your influences? Why did you gravitate to the guitar and not the trombone or whatever?
Well, if we're really going that far back.
Oh yeah.
I used to, I used to be a ping pong champion.
Whoa.
But I was, once I saw, Father John and his skills, I decided to step away from the table. And that's when I realized actually that, that Big Dave actually needs work on his game as well if he plans on even ever entering a tournament.
You're calling out Big Dave, our roaster?
I'm not calling anyone out. I'm just speaking factually.
Oh, I got it now. I got it.
Those are fighting words.
I mean, it's just because I care.
But for seriously though, who were guitar influences for you? Were there guitarists that you were listening to as a kid when you were first starting to play?
No, I mean, actually, my first musical moment where I was actually like the power of music, and it was just like how powerful it is. I was just remember probably in 1975, I saw Elton John on the Lucian playing Lucian Sky with Diamonds on the Sonny and Cher show.
Yeah,
and I remember just like. It was like the coolest thing I ever saw. Not only that, just the music, the song, and everything like that. Because before then, obviously when you're kids, obviously you're just like AM radio, and then you just listen to what's on the radio, or whatever your folks are playing. There's really, you don't have any favorite bands or anything like that because I was 8 years old.
Right.
So but right after I heard that, it was like I was just like an Elton John freako after that. So the whole thing is. I still am. We just saw him out in Vegas not too long ago, and he was crushing. But,
he's still crushing it. It's crazy.
He's amazing.
Without a doubt. It's just timeless, man. But, but the whole thing is, it was then, and then, when I got to be about, around 11 or so, and I remember one buddy we had art class, and we were doing some, some sculpture thing or whatever, and he had, a skull, which is basically like the logo that we use for Black Label now, with Scully.
Yep.
Draw a skull. The whole thing is, it was said, had a lightning bolt going through, and it said Black Sabbath 666, right? And I said, well, what is that? And he goes, my brother listens to this band, my older brother. I said, I didn't even know it was a band or anything like that. So I remember we were at the record store or the mall or something like that. My mom was like, if you want to get a record, you can get a record. So I said, oh, great. So I go in there, and obviously I could only get one album. So being the tool that I was, I made sure We Sold Our Souls for Rock and Roll, which was a double album, but looks like one record.
Yep.
So anyways, got that album, and then, put it on, crap my pants when I heard it, between the rain and the lightning and the church bell, and then, the first riff of Black Sabbath.
Oh, yeah.
Like that. Yeah, because I didn't, anything before that, but it was just like, and I was just hooked on Sabbath after that. So it was, but yeah, I started playing guitar when I was probably about 8.
Mm-hmm.
But I always wanted. I never practiced, and I never did that. I remember my guitar teacher at the time. He told my parents, he goes, "You're just wasting your time. Maybe he'll come back to it later on." But and it's the truth. It's like anything in life. If you really want to do something, it's not a chore and it's not a job to do it. You just do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like fondling the genitalia. That's not a chore. You just do it.
You just do it.
You do it because you have to.
Yeah, put it this way. You have to put it down in order to get around to other things around that you need to do, like bring the garbage out or, clean the backyard or whatever it is you got to do.
Yeah.
But, that didn't happen until I was then I quit. Guitar, I wasn't really, I wasn't interested in it at all until I was, then I was playing football and, everything around that circled around baseball and football and just playing sports. So then, when I got to high school and I couldn't, obviously Pop Warner, there was a weight limit and everything like that. So when you get to high school, obviously, you know, for freshman year and everything like that, it was just like, you know, what I wanted to do. I loved Randy White and I loved Jack Lambert and everything like that. So for me, I was a linebacker when I played Pop Warner. So that was my goal. Was obviously that area had everything mapped out. I was going to go to Maryland University where Randy White went.
Oh wow!
And then you know, then become a professional football player. Then eventually become a broadcaster in the whole 9 yards. So once I couldn't make the weight limit, then and I was just like. I mean, that was a bummer because I was just like, I wasn't going to be a linebacker because of my weight limit. So they were either going to put me at cornerback or safety or anything like that. So I remember going over to the coach's house and he was talking to me into continuing playing football. He had a Les Paul sitting in the living room at the time. And my mother had asked him, Mr. Wright, because he was my football coach. He said, "Do you play guitar?" And he was like, "Well, no, you know, I kind of noodle around. I play country songs and stuff like that because my son Leroy's the one that plays." So Leroy comes out, and I think it was the first time I ever saw a dude with like long hair, literally a rock star, and he just came out and he just started shredding on the guitar, playing all types of stuff like Hendrix, then he was playing Van Halen and everything, and then at the time, Sabbath, he was playing some Zeppelin, then after that he started playing like Crazy Train, because he had just come out.
Oh, okay.
Sounds like the coolest dude in the world.
Without a doubt. So that's why I was, and when I just watching, physically seeing somebody do it in front of you, I was just like, this is like the coolest thing on the planet. So it just was so interesting to me. So I was just like, right there and then I was just like, that's what I want to do with my life. So the whole thing is, I started taking lessons from Leroy. So, and he was awesome. You know, he would teach me everything, you know, from all my favorite bands or, you know, all the guys you want to learn from. And then, but he would also teach you the theory and everything like that and how it works. And, you know, you're looking at a car engine and it's just like, well, what's this part go for? Well, the reason why this is on here, because it's for this, you know what I mean? So he would just break it down for you so you could understand it.
Yeah. So,
yeah, no, he was a great teacher and everything like that. So, I mean, it was just, I was truly blessed to have him. So it was just, you know, and from there, you know, and like I said, like with your genitals, you just can't put it down at that point.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
You can't stop.
And from there, I mean, you go from someone who's now learning the craft and you got to the point where you're like, I want to do this. I want to like pursue this as maybe even a career. And you're a fan of Sabbath and you're a fan of that kind of thing. And then a few years later, you're still a kid and you're playing with Ozzy. What was that journey like? Was there like an audition process? Did you like have to jump through, you know, fiery hoops to get there? Like, what was that like?
Well, no, you had to make a pact with the devil, and you sell your soul.
Yep.
But being, you know, then you become. But then it's a huge process right before the show because of you shave your legs, the anal bleaching, the commitment to selling your soul, and then you convert back to Catholicism after the show for a balancing, and it's quite the balancing act, and it's quite the production.
I see.
But if you're committed to the project, you know, like I said, it's like fondling the genitalia. You're fine with it. You just do it.
That's incredible. Like, was it a culture shock for you? Someone who was originally going out and looking to be, you know, you wanted to pursue sports, and then you change your track and I want to pursue guitar, and then you find yourself playing with one of the biggest musicians in the world and touring the world. I mean, as you know, you're 19 years old, 20 years old at the time. Like, was that a culture shock for you?
No, I mean, well, without a doubt. I mean, I'm just saying, because I'm a huge Ozzy fan. I mean, it's not like I'm getting a gig just because, you know, I'm like some of the guys that were down there auditioning. I remember like meeting some of the guys. For them, it was just like a stepping block because it's just like, oh, here the gig pays well or whatever.
Right.
But they're not really fans of Sabbath. They're not a fan of Ozzy. They're not a fan of Randy. They're not a fan of Jake. And they're not a fan. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It was like, for me, it was like being a New York Yankee fan, and I love Thurman Munson, and now I'm catching for the New York Yankees.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm in the same position where my hero stood, you know what I mean? So, well, for me, it was mind-blowing, man. I mean, you know, so it still is to this day.
Yeah.
You know? And, I mean, like, you know, we did some shows in Chicago and everything like that, and we were just out on did some shows with the Boston Chicago Open Air and everything. And that, it's still, awesome.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
And for all of our listeners out there, some of that footage, there's some footage from people in the crowd of you guys just playing. So you can go check that out on YouTube. I mean, you all, like you and Ozzy especially, you still have that spark. You still have that thing. I got to ask, like, you guys are getting back into it now. You're going back out on tour. Is there any chance you guys are going to write anything or maybe some new material?
I mean, like I said, if Oz ever says, "Hey, Zach, you got any riffs laying around, or you got anything, let's do something," or whatever, it's like, yeah, of course. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, but that's all. Like I said, it's always up to Oz. I mean, if he wants to do something, then we'll knock it out.
Yeah, he seems like he's never going to stop.
Yeah, without a doubt.
It's like playing with your genitalia. You just never stop.
No, you never stop. You never stop.
Doesn't matter how old you are. You still got to yank it around every now and then.
Exactly.
No, but you just be responsible. You pick your spots, and you just be responsible.
Yeah. You just can't yank it willy-nilly.
No, with great power comes great responsibility.
Spider-Man knew what he was talking about. I mean, obviously, playing with Ozzy is one thing, but you've had this extensive solo career as well as Black Label, as well as Sabbath, as well as, helping out countless musicians on different tracks and stuff like that. Was kind of playing double duty and being a frontman, singing and guitar, was that something in the back of your mind when you first started playing, or did that come later?
Well, yeah, I mean, like when we always played keg parties and played at Ketchum's Kitchen, and whenever we did these gigs between kitchens, basements, and keg parties and backyards during high school and everything like that. Yeah, I mean, I was singing then.
Yeah.
So I mean, like if we were doing Sabbath tunes, I'd be singing them and stuff like that. So, like I said, I mean, with the Zakk Sabbath thing, it's no different than except. Instead of me being 15 or 17 years old, I'm 50 years old now, and we're doing Black Sabbath songs with Zakk Sabbath. And when I'm doing the Experience Hendrix thing, we used to do Hendrix tunes as well. Yeah. So now we're doing it on stage. So, and there's more people. But I mean, the whole thing is, I'm just truly blessed that to me, it's, because I always tell kids, I go, make the band or music, just make that your job. Make that your job, because that's what you want to do the rest of your life anyways. Right. You don't want to have some crummy job that you can't stand. And then, the way I always had it, like whenever I worked during the summers, or when I worked at the gas station, when we worked at the supermarket, whenever, those were always, I was at a good time because it was just a means to an end, because we were working there just to save up for what we wanted. Whether it was a guitar, an amp, pedals, or whatever, the things that we wanted, we want to do music. So it was, I said, just be all in. Just make it so the music is how you support yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everybody was asking, if I wasn't blessed to have Ozzy in my life, and then our Black Label, and then our Black Label family, and then, between Zakk Sabbath, the Experience Hendrix family, and then, now that we're doing the Generation Axe thing with, the Father Steve, Yngwie, Nuno, and Tosin, and everything like that, it's just, no, I mean, if none of that existed, like me and JD is our bass player in Black Label. I've known JD since we were like 17, 18 years old. So, the whole thing is, we'd either be teaching, we'd have our wedding band, we'd have our cover band, we'd either own a music store, but everything would revolve around music.
Yeah.
And playing. You know what I mean? So, if that's what you truly want to do, then you make it happen.
Yeah.
That's all.
No, that's very inspiring, actually. And with your career, you've written a lot, a body of work, and a huge body of work. And I'm always curious talking to creative types, what it's like with that creative process, because music can come from all these different aspects in your life, whether it's good or bad, ups or downs, that kind of thing. And I want to say personally, one of my favorite tracks that you've done is your song "In This River." which you dedicated to Dime. And I wanted to talk a little bit about like the creative process of actually writing music. And I wanted to ask you, like, is doing something like that, is that like, does that come up from a place that like you can use as like therapy and like can help you through?
Yeah, I mean, I think with all musicians, whenever you're writing about stuff, I mean, it's whether lyrically, whether you're writing about stuff that happened to you, stuff you heard that happened to our buddy Frank, and then, whatever, I mean, just go, man, I can't believe that happened, I mean, then you just write a story, using metaphors or whatever, just, about that specific incident or whatever, so, I think that's where, I think if you ask anyone, lyrically, where it comes from, I mean, it's situations like that, but I mean, the music, I mean, it's always, the music always, for me anyways, usually always the music comes first, then I'll either have a melody that goes over it, and then the lyrics are always like the last thing. While I'm sitting there, just like, guys, go out and get a cup of Valhalla Java or some other, get some more Death Wish or whatever, and then come back, have the lyrics done. So, yeah, I mean, but as far as like In This River, I mean, I wrote that song before Dime passed away. So, I mean, it was, but like after we had done the record and everything went down, it was just like, I remember singing the song and looking at the lyrics, I go, this is Dime's song, right? So, so that's where that came from. But I think if you ask anyone lyrically, it could be all situations that have happened. If you ever got screwed over or anything like that, and then you'd go, hey, Zakk, remember that, that time what happened with Tommy and this and that business deal or whatever? It's just like, yeah, you go, that's what I wrote those lyrics about. I was like, I would have never known that. You didn't tell me. You know what I mean? But it's just because I dug the song or whatever, and you go, yeah, that's about when Tommy turned into a tool bag, and I was just like, oh, wow, I would have never known that. But I mean, so, yeah, I mean, but that's the fun of it, what I mean? So it's creating.
It's very interesting for me to hear that you say that you do your lyrics last, because especially from your solo career, a lot of the songs that you write, the music that you write and the lyrics that you write work so well in tandem with each other that for me as a listener and as a fan, it feels like you kind of did them at the same time, but it really has opened something else in my mind now that you say that you actually come to the lyrics as the last part of your creative process.
Yeah. But I mean, that's how it usually always goes.
That's really
yeah, because the music usually always inspires a melody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And obviously with the syllables you're singing, and then you got to come up with the lyrics that'll fit the melody you're singing.
Very, very cool.
Yeah, that's that makes me feel more comfortable about, like, that's how I've always written music before, because it was like you just kind of write a tune and then you kind of make up words and then you make the words fit the made up words, and then you end up getting something really cool. But then, I don't know, do you ever feel like you start writing a song and you don't realize what it's about until you're done writing it?
No. Usually I need to get going. I mean, for me, for the lyrics, it's just like, I'll be looking at a blank piece of paper and lyrically, and then it's just like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to draw a building, the Empire State Building, with a taxi in front of it, and then two people standing around having coffee, and then I'll just start drawing it. But I got to think about what I want to write the song about.
Yep, that makes sense.
Interesting.
So I mean, some of them are like biographical. I mean, like, I'm just trying to think, like Darkest Days, when we did the Order of Black, I wrote that about. I'm trying to think. Actually, when we did Crazy Horse, because somebody said, "What is Crazy Horse about?" Mm-hmm. I go, "It's about a horse that's crazy."
That's awesome.
I mean, it was hysterical. But I mean, I remember because me and my buddies always talk about. One of my buddies is Native American Indian, so we were always talking about. Whether we're talking about the greatest quarterbacks, greatest running back, give us your top 5 running backs, top 5 quarterbacks of all time, or whatever. So, whenever we're talking, I just go, give me the 3, the toughest baddest ass Indian chiefs or whatever, so whether it's Sitting Bull, Crazy Horse, like stuff like that. So he just goes, or Geronimo or whatever. So all I remember, we were looking up on like Wikipedia one day, and I was just like reading about Crazy Horse. Mm-hmm. And I, just after I read the Wikipedia thing, I was just like, was looking at it, and then I just wrote the lyrics about Crazy Horse. So, I mean, that was just from being inspired, just reading off of Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Things about him. So, but, and then like, so to say that another thing I was reading off of Wikipedia was, I was looking up Marvin Gaye's, date of birth or something like that. One of me and my friends were talking about how old Marvin was or whatever when he passed away or whatever. And the whole thing is, I was just reading his autobiography on Wikipedia, and then I wrote that song about Marvin Gaye. You know what I mean? So, yeah, like you said, I mean, as far as inspiration, writing songs, it can come from different things. Whether you read something or anything like that, or you watch the news and you see something and you write about that. So, or like you said, or it's things that have happened to you or any of your friends or anything you see going on around you.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So, everybody knows we make Valhalla Java in the honor of you, but I gotta wonder, what made you such a coffee freak?
Well, I mean, the whole thing is obviously I was a boozo freak before that, which is always a good thing. So, now the best was because I ended up getting blood clots, and I'm on blood thinners. But I remember going to the doctors, and I said, "Doc," he goes, "How did I get these?" He just goes, "Well, let me ask you a question, Zach. Did you have this genetically? Did your parents have this?" I said, "Well, they're both up in God's tavern, so I wouldn't know."
Right.
He goes, "Well, let me just say, I don't know how to say this, but all your years of drinking by thinning your blood, may have saved your life." And I looked over the immortal beloved and I said, "See, drinking is good for something."
Yeah.
But needless to say, there were no chuckles in the peanut gallery over that one. But yeah, he's much happier that that Valhalla Java is in my life now. So no, but we'd always drink coffee anyways. You know what I mean? So, but the whole thing is, Father Blasco, who's my manager and business partner, he's the Peter Grant of Black Label over there. He was the one that said, "Hey Zach, one of my buddies over at Death Wish make like amazing coffee. You want to do something with that?" I said, "Yeah, that'd be killer." So that's how I ended up getting hooked up with the Death Wish guys.
That's awesome. Well, we're always happy that we get to sling Valhalla Java right next to Death Wish.
I'm curious, how much coffee do you actually drink in a day?
I'm trying to think. Probably, let's see. Probably about maybe. I mean, like actually throughout the day, I'll have like obviously I love it when I get up in the morning, whether I'm getting up before the sun comes up or anything like that. Yeah, it's nice and quiet. Have some Valhalla Java, and then the running of the morning scales, and then I'll probably have like maybe 2 cups then, and then after that I'll make 1 more cup. Pretty decent sized cups, and then it's just like trying to think, I fill up my Odinforce thermos. It actually fills that thing up. So I'll probably have about 3 of them.
Okay.
And then later in the day, I'll just blast through another one. But I just sip them, man. So I don't get jittery or nothing like that. I never have any problem sleeping either.
So you're one of those.
that's what's great. That's what's great about the coffee. So I don't get jittery, and I don't get. And it tastes good, because that's what I always tell my friends. I go, it tastes really full and rich, but at the same time, mind you, I clean the dog run about 8 times, and then I'll just, vacuum the house 6 times when it really didn't actually need to be vacuumed at all. Right. But the whole thing is, then I'll clean the showers and everything like that, and then, which will probably all get done within about maybe 14 minutes.
Right.
But then I'll be done with that, so I can get on with the rest of the day and, fondle the genitalia some more, maybe about 42 times throughout the day.
Definitely.
And then, the running of the scales, and then get ready for the Ozzy set list and everything like that. So, but no, but I never have any problems sleeping, and I don't get jittery. So that's what's great about the coffee.
That's awesome.
So Valhalla Java in one hand, genitalia in the other. Got it.
That's how you do
Yes,
it.
and then obviously you got to put the running of the scales in there somewhere, and then maybe folding some laundry.
Yes,
Of course.
yes.
Of course.
It sounds like a good day to me.
After you wash your hands.
Once again, with great power comes great responsibility.
That is
Right.
true.
Right.
I wanted to ask, we ask everybody when they come on the show this same question, and it's been one that I've always wanted to ask you, actually. You've had this incredible career where you have written and played a ton of amazing music and venues and all over the world, and we just want to know, what fuels you to keep going out there? What keeps Zakk Wylde being Zakk Wylde?
I mean, Father Jeffy, in Black Label, the drummer supreme over there, Jeffy just says it every night. He goes, "We got the greatest job in the world, man." Like every night before we get up on stage, it's the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, like how can anyone complain about it? You're around all your brothers, and you're up, and you're doing what you love, and you're playing music. So I never get. The whole thing, like when guys would go, "Man, you're married, you got kids, you got 4 kids, how do you go out on the road?" And I go, that it's no different than if we wanted to play Major League Baseball or be
right.
in the NFL. Well, then you got to go on the road, you got to commit so much time. I go, but that's the reason why we had posters of Thurman Munson up on the wall, and the New York Yankees, and Roger Staubach, and Randy White, and Jack Lambert. Or what. I go, you're living the dream.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're playing your music, and you're doing what you love. I mean, that's, it's the same thing with my kids. I mean, I go, whatever it is you guys have passion for, and whatever it is you love doing is what you need to be doing. I mean, at the end of the day, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Like how Kramer says, there's got to be more to life than this. It's like, no, there isn't.
Yeah.
No, but it's really the truth. It's just like, and it's amazing because I always just say, it's like amazing how many people or friends that you go, they're miserable, and it's like, why be miserable?
Yeah.
At either at some job you can't stand or whatever. Like I said, when I had jobs, they were always a means to an end. I mean, whereas like I knew I wasn't going to be doing this the rest of my life. It was just like, but this is awesome while we're here doing this. By the end of this, we'll save up enough money for an amp or whatever, and then I'm out of here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it was cool while I was here. But the whole thing is, the goal is whatever it is you love and whatever you have passion is what you got to be doing. And and I always tell my kids, they're like, "Oh, how many of your kids play music?" Well, I go, "None of them." Well, I mean, my one son, he noodles around on the piano and stuff like that. But I mean, none of them have passion to be practicing 10 hours a day and want to be a musician.
Right.
They're like, whether they want to be in other realms of the business, I mean, whereas like, instead of being an actor, they're like, "Dad, I want to direct movies, or I want to write them or whatever. I don't want to be in front of the camera.
Yeah.
I'd rather be behind it or whatever, I mean, or in some other form of it or whatever." But it's just like, yeah, I mean, I'm sure if you ask Arnold Schwarzenegger's kids, it's like, "Oh, you're into bodybuilding?" It's like, no,
Yeah.
not at all.
Yeah.
No, I'm just, and it's just like, I'm into doing this. I own my own business. I own a coffee house. You know what I mean? It's just, I'm like way into that. We have music and this and that. It's just like, oh, cool. It's just like, yeah, that's my dad's thing. I mean, that's not what I do.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's just, yeah. I mean, that's why I always tell my kids, I'm not going to beat it into them to have to play music. I mean, because if they wanted to play music, they do it.
Right.
I mean, and then like any of your friends that have passion for anything they want to do, like, it's the truth. You don't have to force somebody to do it. My parents never told me that I had to go practice. Me, it wasn't even practicing. It was just, I was just playing.
Yeah.
Like when I always tell kids that when they're playing video games, I go, but when they're learning how to play any instrument, whether it's piano, guitar, accordion, saxophone, anything, clarinet. But I mean, the whole thing is you gotta, whether you're learning your scales or Kurt Cobain's learning how to play bar chords, because he's just like, I just want to learn how to write songs.
Right.
Just like, oh, well, Kurt, you got to play chords though. You know what I mean? So, but he's learning it because he has passion for it because he wants to learn songs.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want to write my own tunes. So it's just like, no one ever had to nudge him into learning or playing or writing. It's just like, dude, I love doing it.
Right.
So, that's pretty much life in a nutshell, man.
Yeah, no, and it's totally the truth, and it shows with you when you're on stage. No matter when you're playing, you are absolutely passionate about it, and you always look like you are loving being there, and that's inspiring.
I think you can look at any great person in any field who's been the best in that field, and 100% of those times, that person is obsessed and passionate about what they do.
Yeah.
So as far as becoming the best, you have to be passionate about it.
Truth.
That's just altruistic rule.
Well, look at Mike Ditka always said, he just goes, look, the champions don't need to be motivated. Like Walter Payton, you never needed a pep talk.
Right.
Or anybody on that 85 Bears team. If we need to give, if our coaches need to give us a pep talk at halftime during a Super Bowl, then we don't belong there anyway.
Right. Totally.
I mean, yeah, it's just, and that's the same thing. You surround yourself with lions, hang out with lions. And that's just the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yes.
So.
That's awesome. Finally, I wanted to bring up for you and for all of our listeners and fans out there, you have been lucky enough to not only be a musician and play with a bunch of other different musicians, you've dabbled in movies, you've been a video game character, and very soon we at Deathwish Coffee are coming out with issue number 2 of Deathwish Coffee Presents Odinforce, the comic book, and you are going to be a character in that comic book. And I'm pretty excited
I'm looking very forward to this. I can't wait to see my shaved legs.
We made sure that the artist got your shaved legs perfect. No, but we did get to see a rough draft. The writer Ron Mars is writing the comic again, and it's going to be epic. I cannot wait for this to hit. You're going to be very excited. Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward.
Yeah. You have a lot to do with our rowdy band of Vikings that are going on adventures, and they meet up with you, and you help them out pretty good. So it's gonna be a good time, and that's gonna hopefully be coming out pretty soon. I just want to finally finish up by telling everybody, where they can find you. I mean, you and Ozzy and the rest of the band, you guys are going on your actual tour, and I believe that starts in a couple weeks, right?
Well, I guess we got another date. We're doing Sturgis, I think, on the 9th.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, that's coming right around the corner. Yep, without a doubt. So we got that coming up, and then we're going to be. I think we got a couple more dates throughout this year.
Uh-huh.
Then we're talking about doing some other shows. But I mean, obviously, Mom, Mrs. O, and the boss. I'm sure they'll be blasting all that info out as it comes along.
Oh, totally. And then also, too, I think I just saw this. Zakk Sabbath is actually going on tour as well, right?
Yeah, we're getting ready. We're going to go down to South America. So we're looking forward to that.
That's cool.
Another run of America, and I think we're doing. We might roll up with the Canadian chapter as well.
That is excellent. And for all of our listeners out there, it is incredibly easy to find Zakk Wylde everywhere. You are Zakk Wylde on most social media, or Zakk Sabbath, or Black Label Society, or, your countless bands, including Ozzy. I mean, it's very, very easy to find all that information. And, man, I can't thank you enough for coming on our show and talking with us. We've been wanting to get you on a guest since episode 1.
Yeah.
And we knew it was going to happen eventually. And, it was such a treat to talk with you.
Yeah, right back at you. And guys, just make sure that Big Dave steps up his game. His father John he's terrible. He's hideous. He's just mocking Father Dave, and he's just saying he'll never be as good as me, and he'll never be as good as me as a human being either.
That is definitely the truth.
Nice. just have Big Dave pound back some Odinforce blend and just get it together.
we will
let him know.
We will definitely let him know. And the next time you roll through the headquarters here at Deathwish Coffee, you can
show us all how it's done.
Yeah, you can lay it down.
Well, I'd like to see Big Dave come over with the Deathwish Ping Pong Championship trophy and just say, Zakk, I won this in the name of Odinforce blend.
Yes, I love it. I love this. I love this. We're gonna make this happen.
That's so cool.
I told Father John all about this, and he just said it's never going to happen. I said, well, we'll have to see next time I visit the headquarters.
Yeah,
John talks big, but
we'll see.
Dave kicks his ass regularly.
Yeah. So it's on right now. We got this all marked down. I can't wait. Wait.
That's not the word on the Death Wish streets.
Well, you know what they say: those who don't know talk, and those who talk don't know.
Oh man,
brutality.
It's so brutal.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, Zakk, and we'll let you get back to your Pilates and genitalia fondling and whatever it is Zakk Wylde does.
My brother.
All right, thank
Great
you.
talking. I'll see you guys in a bit.
All right,
see you soon, man. Peace.
Bye.
Bye, my brothers.
This has been Fueled by Deathcast, a Death Wish Coffee Company podcast production. Thanks for listening.